Hello, my little strangelings. I am going to do my very best to present this ghost bite to you, although I don't have much by way of visuals to go with it, so you may have to bear with me on whatever you may be seeing on your screen. I like to call this one Living Dead or Something Else, and once I am through with the tale, you'll see why. This story came to me by way of my across-the-street neighbor, a woman we'll call Gladys, who is in her 80s. I'll sometimes find her out on her front porch and will go and sit with her a spell and catch her up on where I've been, where I'm going, and what I'm doing. And the last time I was over there, we got onto the topic of sound paranormal, and she looked gravely thoughtful for a minute, adjusted herself in her seat, and said to me, "Let me ask you something. You're into all this paranormal stuff. Maybe you can tell me." At which point, she launched into her tale. She said that she was around 11 years old, and doing the math from knowing her age now, that would roughly place the time of these events somewhere between 1948 and 1952. I don't want to give away too much identifying information, even though Gladys did give me permission to tell her story to you all. I'm not even using her real name, as she did seem genuinely curious about what I might know, but at the same time genuinely fearful of the judgment of her children, grandchildren, and her church community at large. Gladys told me that she was living in a neighborhood where there was a woman who was genuinely mentally disturbed living in several houses up from hers. She said no one knew what the lady's problem was, but every night she would come running up the street just a screaming and a hollerin', "Murder! Murder! Somebody help me, please! I'm in a distress! Something real bad has happened in my house!" Now I could see that Gladys would never forget these words, as she recited them several times in our interaction, verbatim. She said that every evening it was the same thing. "Murder! Murder! Somebody help me, please! I'm in a distress! Something real bad has happened in my house!" And that the woman would be out of breath by the time she reached out front of Gladys's house, to where the "in my house" of her recitation just sounded so tired and so exhausted. She said this went on for a good long while until finally the woman in question, who seemed to be suffering quite a bit, was taken to an institution or asylum across town. Then she told me, "This is the part I don't understand." And she said that her mother and her were in the living room one evening when, lo, there it came. "Murder! Murder! Somebody help me, please! I'm in a distress! Something real bad has happened in my house!" And she said that her mother and her heard this woman clear as day, and that just as it happened every time before, by the time she reached the part where she said, "in my house," she sounded exhausted, and it sounded right out in front of Gladys's house. Now Gladys and her mother were looking out the front window, and she looked chilled to the bone despite the 84-degree day when she said, "But you know, there weren't nothing there." So her question to me was, how did my mama and me hear her clear as day, like she was a ghost out there, but she was still alive in the asylum across town? It was nice for me to be able to smile and say, "Well, Gladys, I have an answer for you." And to see the look of relief cross her face and her curiosity ignite. After all, this is a question she's held for 70 some odd years. My question to you, my little strangelings, is what do you think it was? Drop your answer in the comments below, and I'll be back with a part 2.